Tight ends. I think the identity of the team is going to be play a little more physical, but also, not getting away from passing the football either. I mean, that's Matt RHULE wants to get this thing where he's got speed at all levels, can pound the rock up front. A lot like what Minnesota is. I mean, their identity under Fleck is, control the line of scrimmage, have good skill players, be able to take what the defense is giving you, be multidimensional, and not be in a spot where you're trying to maybe do something that doesn't work, which Nebraska has kind of been in for, the entire Scott Frost era. Yep. So I'm excited.
Matt RHULE doesn't care about the first three quarters. He just wants to see how his team plays in the fourth quarter and, make sure that they're getting better. Every rep they get better. Every quarter they get better. And he wants to win the fourth quarter. And that doesn't stray from his strategy throughout his career. So that's his style, and that's what he wants to see. So
we just got a good
today, you see him with a smile on his face if he's down 17-0. He just wants to see his team perform in the fourth quarter.
Just got to make sure it stays somewhat close in those first three, though. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. What they could have probably worked out is some kind of contractual agreement between Frost and RHULE. Frost coaches the first three quarters, and RHULE comes in for the fourth quarter. Because Frost did fine in the first three quarters.
Be the best coaching staff ever.
Exactly. Yeah. If he could have coached the fourth quarter like Greg's talking about, Scott Frost, he'd still have this job.
Scott Frost was really good at his first drive that was designed, and then we would never score after that. Adjustments.
Everybody would go crazy. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, there's such a
Northwestern." We scored in like a minute and a half, and I was like, "This is it, bro. We're winning every game."
Nebraska looked like world beaters in the first half there in Dublin.
Man, I was feeling good.
Oh God! Well, I was on the sideline next to Trev Alberts the whole damn time, so I saw that the switch just turn off in him in the second half. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah. So this game, that's going to be the biggest thing too, is just seeing because another thing too with Frost is we never slowed the game down at any point.
Never.
And so I really want to see that dynamic where maybe we can get a lead and slow the game down.
Well, that's one of the big things too with with Marcus Satterfield and Matt RHULE that believe in the huddle.
Yeah.
Because look at across the board, how many teams huddle anymore? Not a lot.
Nope.
And that's a way that you slow down the game.
Yep.
You limit
protect
sessions, and you
keep
hold
your
on
defense
to the ball.
off the field.
Keep your defense off the field and hold on to the ball, and and that's been a thing that the kids have had to adjust to, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I think they are now, but it took a few weeks.
Yeah.
It took 3 or 4 weeks of camp for that to really take hold.
Daniel can probably speak to this, and I don't know if this number comes from week 0 play. We only had 7 games, or if this is a anticipated number going forward with the running clock after a first down, that we're going to see reduced offensive plays on average from 68 to 63 is the number I heard, which doesn't sound significant, but 5 out of 60, you're talking about 7 or 8% of the plays gone.
Correct. Yeah, it definitely is going to speed up the games, and it adds the element of it's still the same in the final 2 minutes of each half. So you got to be prepared for that. But I mean, honestly, I think it's something that fans wanted to see because they're like, hey, any way we can speed up the game, keep everybody interested. I think people hyped it up as a huge rule change, but I don't think it's super significant.
Hey, if you want to speed up the games, let's just go across the board and tell the networks no commercials. Commercial free. 60 minutes.
It would be fun to watch a game that way once.
The last thing I've ever thought when I was watching college football is I want to speed this game up. I'm just going to throw that out there.
The only time I think about it is when I'm there on the sideline or in the end zone and just saying, come on, stopping the clock. Just
Yeah.
let they can get over with.
Well,
I
we
don't
have-
know, Greg, how that works with the new $1 billion a year CBS, NBC, and Fox contract with the Big Ten. I don't know how they would finance that
I'm
one.
on salary, on a fixed salary, and to me, the more time spent there, the more time that I don't have free time.
But Greg, I'm sure you noticed this more than just about anybody. And then Daniel, my guess would be next since he goes to a lot of games. But you're at every home game. Greg, is exactly that. The experience at the stadium is completely different than on TV. On TV, I never think about the game being slow because I always have a remote. I always have 4 screens, and I always have a remote, and I'm watching 3 games at the same time. But you sit at the stadium, and I remember this from covering the games more so every week back in the 90s at the stadium. And these TV games, it's just like, oh my word, let's get on with it. Let's go.
Well, they're all on TV now anyway.
Well,
so
sure.
you're putting up with the same thing, but there's so many of those timeouts that they try to, and they do the same thing over and over and play the same stupid songs and just stuff that just drives you insane. You just can't wait for it to get over with, or you're just mocking it and dancing around with it. And, they got a motorcycle coming out and they're shooting hot dogs into the stands and stuff. I mean, it gets old. It's just like, come on, let's just play the game.
It's a Runza break.
Yeah.
Valentino's for me.
There it is.
Slap a Runza right in your mug.
Runza, folks. We are open for a sponsorship at any time here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shoot.
Let's get to a couple super chats here.
Which I did eat a Runza live on this show just to show the folks that don't know what a Runza is.
I don't like cabbage, so.
USMC Sully, thank you so much for the super sticker. We appreciate your support. And also, we got a question coming in for Daniel. So here it is from Caleb. Caleb, thank you so much for this. Meant to make this a super chat earlier for the Minnesota guy. Is Minnesota going to ground and pound like usual, or will they throw it around more?
They're still going to be a run identity team. I don't think that will change, but I do think they'll pass the football more. Definitely going to be a priority just because of the personnel they brought in. Corey Crooms is a shifty slot, sudden receiver, gadget guy. You can get the ball in a lot of different ways, creative touches. And then Elijah Spencer, who was a very good receiver against man coverage last year, actually one of the better receivers in the FBS getting open against man coverage. So they wanted to add a couple more skill sets to that room to have different guys who do different things in the toolbox. And I think they'll pair that up, maybe a little bit more quick passing, like getting the ball at the flat, using the backs, some screens, things like that. So using the quick game as an extension of the rushing attack is how I would describe it. So you'll definitely see a little more throwing, but I still think they're going to be physical, control the line of scrimmage style team.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel. I saw a stat, may not have included last season, but it was a pretty good substantial time during PJ Fleck's era where Minnesota ran the ball more than any school in the nation outside of the service academies.
Yeah, it's, pretty much every year, though, it's been a heavy run dominant scheme. 2018 was a little different when you had 2, first team all Big Ten wide receivers. They were definitely able to air it out that year. That was what you want offensively. Like I'm saying about being multidimensional, able to control the line of scrimmage. So it's like, hey, you got these guys that can stretch the field. You want to play too high and take away the vertical game, then you're going to run into lighter boxes versus, stacking that box and, you hold the card, the defense holds the cards more, which was the case a lot in Minnesota's games last year because they couldn't get consistent separation on the outside. And, they definitely needed some more receiver talent, and they went in the portal this offseason, did that. Lemeki Brockington's another name that I didn't talk about. Watch him. I thought maybe he would get the game ball for most improved player at the practices I was at. I definitely made a big step. So the receiver room is way more talented than it's been in a while. So I think you'll see a little bit of a shift there.